You know, I suppose I ought to tip my hat to Eleanor Voss for the way she hounded me relentlessly, because if it hadn't been for her fixation on my floating sanctuary, I never would have peeled back. The layers of deceit she'd woven into the fabric of our entire lakeside haven, uncovering a web of theft that siphoned away $127,000 from the very neighbors she pretended to safeguard. It was barely dawn, around 6 a.m. on that crisp Tuesday, when the chaos erupted, 3 sleek police vessels encircling my custom-built houseboat like predators closing in on prey, while Eleanor Voss, clad in her pristine golf attire, as if she were off to some elite brunch, perched on her pier, jabbing her finger toward me like I was a rogue invader defiling sacred waters. Her shrill commands echoed across the fog-shrouded lake through that megaphone she wielded like a weapon, declaring my humble abode a blight on everyone's investments. And what burned me up inside wasn't just the intrusion, but knowing this woman had spent years lording over folks with her nitpicky rules on garden gnomes and paint hues, all the while quietly pilfering funds from the community chest she swore to uphold. The hypocrisy of it all hit like a thunderclap, yet Eleanor's fatal slip was underestimating the freshly single tech was drifting on his self-made haven, armed with patience, coding prowess, and a heart stripped bare of fears. So, tell me in the comments, what would you do if your neighborhood overseers tried to exile you from your own watery retreat? And hey, shout out where you're tuning in from. Let me rewind a bit and paint the picture of how I, Alex Harlan, a 45-year-old guy whose life had just imploded, found myself adrift in this mess. 6 months prior, my 2-decade marriage crumbled into dust, leaving me with a fractured bank account and a soul craving reinvention. But fate, in its quirky mercy, tossed me a lifeline I hadn't seen coming. My late grandfather's rustic chalet on Crystal Bay had gathered cobwebs since his passing 2 years back, a forgotten inheritance amid my chaotic days juggling deadlines and desperate attempts to mend what was broken at home. Yet when the divorce papers sealed my unraveling, that weathered retreat beckoned like a beacon of hope. The catch? It demanded a total overhaul, leaky roof, outdated wiring, crumbling base, all spelling out endless months of sweat and grit. That's where the houseboat idea sparked to life, a temporary oasis while I rebuilt the landlocked legacy. As a programmer by trade, I'd always tinkered on the side, crafting bespoke tables, reviving vintage rides, so why not channel that into a buoyant dwelling? Mornings became rituals of sawdust, swirling in the steam from my coffee mug, the gentle lap of waves against hull replacing the urban clamor I'd fled, and honestly, greeting the day with herons gliding overhead trumped any city skyline. Crystal Bay sprawled as a modest enclave, roughly 200 dwellings hugging the shores, a blend of lifelong locals nursing their routines, weekend anglers with their speedy crafts, and fresh retirees escaping metropolitan madness for serene sunsets. Harmony reigned for most, until you crossed paths with the Willow Creek Association, the iron-fisted group governing about 60% of the prime waterfront, including the swankiest spreads. Enter Eleanor Voss, the undisputed queen of that domain, who'd transplanted herself here 3 years ago after cashing out from a cushy finance gig downtown. Imagine the archetype, impeccably styled auburn locks frozen in place, nails like polished gems, and a grin that masked a storm of judgment. She reigned from the grandest estate on the bay alongside her husband, Harold, a man as thrilling as a beige wall in dim light. Eleanor's playbook was predictable and punishing. In her tenure as association head, she'd zeroed in on anyone, clashing with her polished ideal of Bayside bliss. The Ramirez family endured endless warnings over their vibrant pier accents. Old Mr. Fletcher battled constant gripes about his overgrown lawn. Despite his 83 years and weary bones, even the gritty path to the shared launch pad drew her ire for lacking curb appeal. My inaugural week afloat, she materialized at my mooring with her ever-present notepad and that saccharine facade. Mr. Harlan, surely you grasp how your makeshift vessel raises eyebrows regarding our shared ethos and future precedents. I laid it out plainly. My grandfather's plot predated their oversight. My build adhered strictly to regional boating statutes. Her lips pursed tighter. Well, perhaps we'll need to verify that, won't we? From there, the torment unfolded like a scripted drama, daily snapshots of my craft from every conceivable vantage, baseless disturbances logged whenever my eco-friendly power hummed, though it whispered quieter than a breath most days. She'd dominate gatherings railing against unnamed disruptors tarnishing our idyllic escape. The sun-warmed timbers of my ancestors' pier grounded me as I observed her retreat. That initial encounter, sensing this skirmish was merely the opening salvo, her gaze radiating the entitlement of someone unaccustomed to defiance. What escaped me then was how her vendetta against my floating refuge would unravel a scandal dwarfing our petty clash. But patience. We'll circle back to that bombshell. A fortnight into her visual assault, she ramped it up, me out tweaking solar arrays when the roar of engines sliced the calm. A federal patrol cutter flanked by sheriff's water enforcers, Eleanor trailing triumphantly in her immaculate leisure cruiser like an admiral. Commanding conquest. The lead inspector, a fresh-faced officer in his 20s, boarded with that drilled-in sternness. "Sir, complaints suggest your setup flouts safety protocols." I welcome the scrutiny, and here's where her scheme imploded gloriously. Crafting it myself meant overkill on safeguards, dual drainage systems, top-tier electrics, certified beacons, extinguishers galore. 20 minutes in, he's clasping my hand. "Mr. Harlan, this rivals the best I've inspected in a decade and a half. Care to share your wiring, wizard?" "That'd be yours truly," I replied, glimpsing Eleanor's complexion flare crimson from afar. The foggy veil of dawn clung like a secret as she stammered about aesthetics and legacies. The patrolman regarded her with the tolerance reserved for tantruming tots. But a subtle revelation shifted the tide. The officer noted a barrage of grievances under varied aliases, not solely hers, unveiling a coordinated smear. That sparked my resolve. This transcended ego. It was outright persecution, etched in records. By midday, I'd lodged countermeasures at the municipal hall, invoking the equalizer known as uneven application, which could nullify their edicts entirely if proven biased. I dove into chronicling every nuance, dated images, permissible recordings, detailed logs, my digital expertise birthing a repository, rivaling investigative archives, timestamps synced to regulations. Whispers rippled through our tight-knit shores. Soon, kindred spirits sought me out with their own tales of woe under Eleanor's thumb. Her reach extended far beyond my waves, preying on misfits to her utopia. Mrs. Leong from the Eastern Banks confided how she'd flagged my nephew's paddleboard as unregistered last season, summoning authorities at every pre-dawn motor start. I've launched at twilight for decades. The Ramirez clan recounted bans on their kin assemblies due to vehicle overflow. Each anecdote stitched a tapestry of favoritism ripe for legal challenge. Yet Eleanor pressed on, summoning an urgent assembly. The hall brimmed with 60 souls on creaky seats, her slideshow a corporate masterclass in manipulation, diagrams, forecasts, valuation dips. "Dear neighbors," she intoned with feigned worry, "we confront a shift that could erode our essence. If unconventional floats multiply, what follows? Raucous bashes, ventures afloat, or worse, nomadic clusters?" Murmurs swelled, some swayed by equity fears, others squirming at the blatant aim. Harold lurked rearward, shrinking into obscurity. During queries, I rose composed. "Eleanor, kindly clarify why my vetted, compliant houseboat offends, yet the Pattersons overhang breaching limits by 15 feet evades scrutiny?" The hush was profound. Eleanor floundered, unprepared for diligence. Pro tip: log every HOA tango. Bias is their undoing. That twilight drive along the bay illuminated a pivot. This battle eclipsed my sanctuary. It championed resistance against despots fracturing bonds. Eleanor's retort to that public sting was textbook: intensify the assault. Mere days post-meeting, a formal notice decreed an expedited ballot on restrictive float policies, suspiciously timed to outlaw anomalies like mine from overseen zones. She banked on herd mentality, prioritizing appraisals over liberty, overlooking the veterans who'd cherished these waters pre-association, when camaraderie meant mutual aid, not mandates. The ensuing fortnight, I wove alliances not through rallies but heartfelt exchanges, mugs shared at launches, dockside banter amid repairs. Old Mr. Fletcher, the octogenarian Eleanor badgered relentlessly, revealed his electrician past wiring original abodes. Lad, he murmured as his grandkid reeled in perch. I've amassed 3 anglers, dual speeders, 1 lounger. Her decree axes all but the latter. Fished these depths for decades. Won't yield now. The Ramirez echoed sentiments, their reunions teeming with varied vessels defying her norms. We sought family joys on these shores. Since when's that contentious? Amid rallying dissent, I probed association ledgers, my split teaching that fiscal fury often masks skeletons. Statutes mandated openness, so I requisitioned triennial reports. Discrepancies glared, shoreline enhancements. At $40,000 over biennium, yet no visible uplift. Upkeep at $25,000 yearly, docks dilapidated. Advisory payouts of $18,000 to Bayview Consulting Group, traced to Eleanor's kin. Pro tip: HOA's flout disclosure. A mere review unmasks eras of neglect. Ballad Eve. The venue overflowed. Chairs grating on tile. Stale brew mingling with anticipation. Eleanor's visuals warned of decline. But the tally crushed her. 47 nay to 23 I. Her visage cycled hues unnaturally. Defeat fueled her frenzy. She enlisted upscale litigators, not local sages, but urban sharks billing fortunes for intimidation missives. The parchment demanded my retreat in a month or litigation loomed, citing disturbance and meddling. Perusing it twice on my veranda, heron stalking shallows, I erupted in chuckles. Post-divorce, threats felt trivial, like scolding a survivor of famine. But her counsel echoed her blunder, presuming my ignorance. While they dissected my setup, I'd cataloged infractions, biases, fiscal shadows, and unearthed a game-changer. Their exhaustive probe, meant to doom me, boomeranged hilariously. My craft shone compliant, superior even, but unearthed Eleanor's pure jutting. Illicitly by a dozen feet, flagged in eco-drives. The irony struck via their dossier, page 37 highlighting her encroachment amid satellite scans. Concurrently, board polls loomed, my backing surging. From her overreach, old Mr. Fletcher endorsed me. Alex has defied the tyranny. Time for a guardian versed in charters. Poll night buzzed festive, treats scenting the air. Results: Alex Harlan, 78%. Cheers thundered eternally. Harold clasped my palm. You've inherited a tangle. Fortune favor you. Inaugural decree. Forensic scrutiny of coffers. Anticipating minor slips. Reality stunned. Asterisk asterisk Rachel. Kim asterisk asterisk. My split's fiscal guide. Unearthed bids skipped. Phantom services billed. Mismatched tabs. The clincher. Those advisories to Kin's firm. Invoices for fictitious assessments. Pro tip: when associations saber rattle, demand their adherence. Tyrants seldom comply. Initial revelations compelled a fork. Hush for her graceful exit or pursue reckoning. The pre-conflict me might have softened, but this enveloped multitudes. Ramirez merited reprieve from slights. Fletcher from badgering, silenced soul's justice. Plus, she'd assaulted my handcrafted rebirth, symbol of post-ruin. Resilience. Eleanor's post-loss fury manifested in unsolicited births, county gripes of my aggression, ballot reversal drives, even sleuthing my past for smears. Her detective unearthed, not scandal, but endorsements. My ex rang. Some creep probed our union. I vouched your integrity, our end unrelated to flaws. That echo stirred old affections, affirming why we'd bonded yet parted. Eleanor soon grasped cornering a man reborn from ashes invites backlash. 3 moons into probe, Rachel's call shattered calm. Seated amid rising vapors, she urged composure, systematic pilferage of $127,000 across triennium. Mug shattering, I gasped confirmation. Not mere padding, shells, forgeries, reroutes. Beautifications funneled to ghosts. Kin payouts unearned, acquisitions undelivered. Maintenances unrealized. Genius. Crisis reserves shifted to her grasp. Faked yields via mailed deceptions, escalating to postal felony. Implications cascaded. Fraud criminal, insurance hinged on. Pursuit, assets forfeitable. Pro tip: association theft federalizes with mail. claims mandate charges. Worse, accomplices and oversight, rubber stamping sans vetting. Patterns span 7. Associations over quinquennium, serial predation. My float feud had spotlighted interstate scam. Eve's dilemma. Accept her frantic restitution plea or advance. Temptation flickered for tranquility. But stargazing on ancestral waves, I weighed legacies. Ramirez, Fletcher, intimidated masses deserved vindication. She'd provoked relentlessly, lawyered intimidation, slandered repute. Dawn's directive, proceed criminally. Her float wore more federal. Assembling Justice Squad, dubbed Crystal Bay Defenders by Rachel, who harbored her own grudge. Prior overseer barred her lads. Vintage ride as eyesore. I loathe oppressors, she confided over diner brews and tracing funds. My forte. Carlos Mendoza, HOA dispute vet, enlisted eagerly, typically hues and spots. This delivers equity. County DA Diana Reyes, white-collar hawk, gleamed at proofs. We've craved such precedent. Your Eleanor exemplifies. Community voices fortified, Fletcher's logs of threats. Ramirez's snaps of citations, Sam Whitaker's underbid proofs. Triad strategy, legal via Carlos, fiscal via Rachel, communal via me. Process accelerated. Federals charged swiftly, seizures prepped. Bureau probed multi-scam. Pro tip, combat corruption collaboratively. Experts synergize. Diana cautioned desperation breeds rashness. Evidence sabotage, witness coercion, chaos sowing. We prepped assemblies, aiding victims' chronicles. Cookie sense veiling anxieties as tales poured. Linda Hartley detailed favoritism. Find my feeder as clutter, yet Patterson's figurine hoard. Untouched. Patterns screamed bias, devastating legally. My code craft organized proofs digitally. Linked anomalies to harassments. Visuals mapping flows. Eleanor's rebuttal, urban image firm seating. Doubts of my instability, divorce-fueled vendetta, elder manipulation. Backlash ensued. Harassed rallied. Her villain portrayal flopped against recalled cop calls on compliant floats. Media pivot. Outlets tracked since clash, coordinating expose on charges, harms, frauds, impacts, accountability. Stage set for her downfall. To Dawn's pre-disclosure, Eleanor's folly elevated misdemeanor to obstruction. I stumbled upon her mid-purge at offices, doors ajar, frantic deletions amid sweat-laced aura. Eleanor, all well? She whirled, transfers glaring on dual screens. Just tidying archives for. Handover, she quavered. Twist. Deletions linger recoverable, backups eternal. Her acts time-stamped crime. I feigned naivety, mused on data resurrection prowess. Pallor struck her, alerting Diana and Rachel. Feds seized rigs, forensics unveiling wipes of records, yet clouds preserved, attempts compounding guilt. Pro tip. Digital erasures amplify offenses via recovery. Panic spiraled. Deeper sleuthing yielded not stains but praises. Ex lauded my ethics, boss my integrity, attorney my transparency. Probes boomeranged into testimonials. Direct pleas followed, at Fletcher's. Dossiers of scams to sway him against me. He chortled post-call, tried framing you thief, demanded evidence, she wept. Support swelled. Ramirez hosted solidarity feast, lot teeming with shared lore. Her capstone, emergency convened to ballot my probe, misjudging optics. Instead, platform for climax. Assembly eve, media swarmed via tips, stations, presses, mics transforming venue into spectacle. Gravel crunching under gear. Eleanor sauntered in expecting intimacy, met throng including agents, DAs, press horde. Dismay edged her as consultant spun defense, my vendetta from strife. Twist. Live feeds broadcast Rachel's simplified proofs, audience absorbing theft trails real-time. Eleanor, embezzlement probe? She snapped, deflecting to my psyche. Rival analyst projected. Verified spikes to Kin's firm. Explain? Composure shattered. Fine, truth? Alex Harlan's persecuted me since that barge invasion, dismantling my edifice. Admission cascaded, took funds. But for us, shielding values from misfits like him. Consultant despaired, officials noted, mask dissolved, revealing elitism raw. Exodus ensued, not solidarity. Disgust propelled departures. Ramirez voiced, 15 years welcoming. till you deemed us unfit, stole peace, funds. Fletcher, not your realm, nor coffers. One-liner, exposure trumps hush, light purges rot. Postmeet, isolation engulfed her, warrants loomed, but that eve, tyranny crumbled publicly. Weeks on, Commissioner's Forum ballooned historic. Overflow streamed, my timeline distilling saga. Rachel's visuals tracing thefts, Diana's charges poised. Defense minimized as errors, Diana countered. Embezzlement, frauds, obstructions, rackets across septet. Impacts poured, Ramirez's slights. Fletcher's intimidations, Hartley's biases. My opener began with legal float amid kin rebuild. Harmless, yet clashed her vista, so cops summoned. Slides unveiled her accusations, escalations. Birthing exposure. 3 weeks hence, Eleanor faced cuffs at dawn, assets seized, kin implicated, multi-probe widening. Community healed, funds reclaimed, rules equitable, bonds reforged. My houseboat bobbed unmolested, cabin revived, life reborn from ashes, a testament to standing firm against injustice, honoring family legacies through rightful retribution. But here's where it gets philosophical. What do you think? Was my pursuit of full accountability the right call, or should mercy have prevailed for a quieter resolution? Does true justice demand public reckoning? Or can private amends suffice when communities suffer? And ethically, when bullies cross lines, is turning the other cheek noble, or does fighting back preserve the greater good? Drop your takes below, and let's debate the shades of right and wrong in these waters.